Disheartening to see Taman Tasik Titiwangsa vandalized. Police seek MMC's opinion on Adib's post-mortem reports. Hello and good afternoon. I'm Carlos and you're watching News on 2. Well, it's very disheartening to see the newly refurbished Taman Tasik Titiwangsa being vandalized. Well, those were the words of Federal Territories Minister Khalid Samad, who was commenting on the act of vandalism by some vandals and litterbugs in Tasik Titiwangsa within 5 hours of its reopening on Sunday. Less than a day after its reopening, rubbish were thrown indiscriminately around the newly refurbished park, as well as words scratched onto concrete signage.
Dan rasa kecewa lah bila kita baru je buka, ramai yang memberi pujian, tetapi malangnya ada jugalah golongan-golongan yang bangga dengan merosakkan harta awam lah. Dan dari segi vandalism ni mau tak mau nampak gaya kita kena pertambahkan jumlah CCTV dan kawalan lah, ya. Ni kita harap bahawa benda ni boleh tanam nilai-nilai menghargai dan nak jaga bersamalah harta awam, insya-Allah.
He was speaking in Putrajaya. The minister stressed that this shouldn't have happened as the reopening of the park was long awaited by the people around the city. It was noted that Taman Tasik Titiwangsa was closed in September last year for DBKL to carry out renovation and upgrading works. Well, police will seek the views of the Malaysian Medical Council, MMC, on the conflicting reports by 2 medical experts on the post-mortem on fireman Muhammad Adib Muhammad Qasim. Criminal Investigation Department Director Dr. Huzair Mohammed said the expert advice of MMC was needed to assess the reports issued by the 2 medical experts.
Kita punya CSI team daripada forensik telah dah akan membuat kita punya 3D scanner dan sebagainya. Seterusnya kita akan merakam percakapan Prof Sharum dan juga Dr. Amir daripada UiTM, dan seorang lagi pakar fizik daripada UM, Dr. Mahizal, juga kita akan panggil untuk rakam percakapan beliau.
He spoke in a press conference at the Selangor Police Headquarters. Last September, the coroner's court ruled that Muhammad Adib's death was caused by 2 or more unknown persons. Well, the government's 27.2 billion ringgit, which is $6.5 billion US dollars, One Malaysia Development Berhad 1MDB bond cases against UK-based Goldman Sachs International Limited and its Asian entity, Goldman Sachs Asia LLC, will be heard in the Kuala Lumpur High Court. Well, this follows High Court Judge Muhammad Zaini Mazlan's ruling allowing the prosecution's application made by Deputy Public Prosecutor, or DPP, Norina Bahadun, to transfer the 2 cases from the Magistrates Court to the High Court. Senior lawyer Hisham Tehbotek, who is representing Goldman Sachs, did not object to the matter. The judge also fixed 26 December to hear the prosecution's application to transfer the same case involving Goldman Sachs Singapore from the Magistrates Court to the High Court. In December last year, Malaysia filed 4 charges against Goldman Sachs for allegedly leaving out material facts on the sale of bonds between a subsidiary of 1MDB and Abbar Investment PJS Limited, Abbar. The offences were allegedly committed at 1MDB's premises at Level 8 Menara IMC, Number 8 Jalan Sultan Ismail between 19 March 2012 and 11 November 2013. The company was charged under Section 179 subsection C of the Capital Markets and Services Act 2007, which carries a penalty of imprisonment for a term not exceeding 10 years and a fine of not less than 1 million ringgit upon conviction. Well, a fire razed 5 houses, which also caused a 5% damage to a nearby house in Kampung Seberang Pekanbaru near Baling Kedah yesterday. According to Negeri Sembilan Fire and Rescue Department, no casualties were reported in the 2:30 p.m. incident. The department arrived at the location after receiving an emergency call from the public. Upon arrival at the scene, 6 two-story Class B, that's half wood, half brick houses were on fire. The distance between the houses was estimated at about 2 to 3 meters. The fire was completely extinguished at 6:44 p.m. by 18 firefighters from a nearby fire station. The cause of the fire and the amount of losses were under investigation. Well, here's an update on the ongoing floods in Johor. Now, as of 11 a.m. today, 8,089 people were still being housed at 88 flood relief centers. Well, according to the Info Bencana JKM portal, the evacuees were from a total of 2,210 families. Kluang has recorded the highest number of evacuees with 2,632 people from 730 families, followed by Kota Tinggi with 2,108 people from 546. In Segamat, 1,325 people from 356 families are being placed at 26 evacuation centers. Now, Mersing, meanwhile, has 1,825 evacuees from 366 families. Well, over in Pahang, as of 10:30 a.m. today, the number of evacuees still placed in the evacuation centers has slightly dropped to 1,115 from 293 families. They were being placed at 13 evacuation centers. Well, Rompin has the highest number of evacuees with 1,005 people from 261 families being housed at 8 evacuation centers. In Raub, there were only 66 evacuees from 22 families, while Bura became the third district affected by floods with 25 evacuees from 6 families, and Temerloh has 16 evacuees from 3 families being housed at 1 relief center, respectively. ICQS operations to run 24 hours for VMY 2020. Well, in conjunction with Visit Malaysia here, VMY 2020, the Immigration, Customs, Quarantine and Security ICQS complex at Bukit Kayu Hitam, Kedah, is requested to run for 24 hours for all types of vehicles, as it was previously restricted to commercial vehicles. However, security at the border should be of utmost priority. Chairman of Tourism Productivity Nexus, TPN, Uzadi Udanis, said it was not only an effort to further enhance connectivity, investment and flow of trade between the two countries, but it is also expected to uplift Kedah as a popular tourist destination in the long run.
Kita buka lah, kita encourage kan, walaupun kita ada isu-isu keselamatan, kan itu benda tu kita boleh ketatkan. Saya rasa dengan ada kementerian KDN dengan immigration, mereka boleh melihat dari sudut keselamatan. Tapi kita mempermudahkan pelancong-pelancong datang sini. Jadi dengan adanya 24 jam sempena Tahun Melawat Malaysia ni, kita boleh nampak lah. InsyaAllah kita nampakkan Kedah ni akan jadi boom lah.
He was speaking to the media in Alostar. Kedah has 300 tourism products to be launched by Kedah Menteri Besar Dato Sri Mukris Tun Dr. Mahathir. Among the highlights is the Chet Dead Trail, which focuses on the life of Prime Minister Tun Dr. Mahathir Mohamad, his background, his birthplace and also his favorite food. VMY 2020 targets 30 million tourists with a targeted revenue of 100 billion ringgit. The Ministry of Agriculture and Agro-Based Industry, MOA, released to the media its report card for the year 2019, detailing out its achievements and initiatives taken to develop the agriculture sector. Now, the 19-page report card focused on 5 objectives of the ministry led by Dato Sri Salahuddin Ayub for the year 2019 in an effort to develop the agriculture sector and to increase the income of farmers, breeders and fishermen in the country. According to the report card, the year 2019 saw various initiatives undertaken by the ministry, including an inter-ministry operation dubbed Opnaga to curb encroachment of foreign fishermen, which has caused losses of marine revenue of up to 6 billion ringgit a year. The minister noted that Malaysia's ranking in the Global Food Safety Index, or GFSI, climbed to 28th position this year compared to 48th last year, was the ministry's biggest achievement.
Ini dapat menafikan bahawa kerajaan PH tidak berupaya untuk mengawal harga barangan. Sebenarnya harga barangan telah dapat kita stabilkan dengan kolaborasi di antara MOA dan juga Kementerian Perdagangan Negeri dan Hak Ehwal Pengguna. Kerana itulah sebabnya indeks kita meningkat. Yang keduanya, MOA telah berjaya untuk memastikan bekalan kita cukup. Semua industri dalam pertanian dapat kita tingkatkan. Perikanan, sayur-sayuran, buah-buahan dan juga penternakan ini menyumbang kepada kita naik dari segi indeks food security kita.
He said this to RTM at Angkasa Puri, Kuala Lumpur. The Kuala Lumpur Summit 2019 kicked off at the Kuala Lumpur Convention Centre, KLCC, this morning with a youth summit themed Youth Empowerment in Facing Global Challenges. The Prime Minister Tun Dr. Mahathir Mohamad, who is chairman of the summit, is expected to make an appearance during a dialogue session at the Convention Centre's plenary theatre this evening. In his opening remarks at the Youth Forum, Youth and Sports Minister Syed Sadiq Syed Abdul Rahman stressed on the importance of having the voices of the youths heard at the decision-making level. Therefore, the minister said leaders of the Muslim world should give collective signal to ensure that the voices of the young generation are not sidelined.
Ensure social peace, we don't have enough unity within.
If you look at Chile today, the ones who are driving the protest are none other than dissatisfied young people who see the economic representation of their community is not well guarded. You look at Lebanon today, in which the transition still can't take place, and who are on the streets again. Vast majority are young people. Iraq, Hong Kong, and many countries across the world. Often it is young people who will spearhead change and ensure immense progress for decades to come, or, if not dealt well, could also be the ones to ensure that the nation can fall in crisis.
I am very proud of her.
The Youth Summit is the first in the program of the Kuala Lumpur Summit, which gathers Muslim leaders, intellectuals and scholars as a platform to identify the problems afflicting the Muslim world and to find solutions to them. The Kuala Lumpur Summit opening ceremony on Thursday is slated to be graced by the Yang di-Pertuan Agong, Al-Sultan Abdullah Riayatuddin Al-Mustafa Bilal Shah. Among Islamic leaders expected to join are the Emir of Qatar, Sheikh Tamim bin Hamad Al Thani, Turkish President Recep Tayyip Erdogan, Pakistan Prime Minister Imran Khan, and Iranian President Hassan Rouhani. Well, the act of taking sides practiced by the world's great powers in the fight against terrorism has created prejudice against the Islamic religion. Well, this was made even worse thanks to biased media reporting by Western medias. Acknowledging this as the biggest challenge, Turkey's ambassador to Malaysia, Dr. Mervi Safa Kavachi, hopes the 2019 Kuala Lumpur Summit will be able to address the matter by producing concrete solutions to these issues.
The summit in of itself is a great value, and the conclusions, if you will add great value to how we can go forward from here as to counter Islamophobia, as to counter some of the ills that the humanity faces, be Muslims or non-Muslims. So it will be quite an invigorating experience in of itself to have world leaders, academicians, intellectuals to come together and ponder upon some of the issues that our world are facing today.
Speaking in an inclusive interview with RTM, Dr. Kavachi also praised Prime Minister Tun Dr. Mahathir Mohamad's firmness and boldness to adamantly resist any form of anti-Islamic actions by any party. At the same time, she added that Malaysia's experience of establishing a harmonious situation among its multiracial society is a real example of modality that should be followed by the rest of the world in fighting Islamophobia.
Malaysia is a real example, living example of such modality, if you will. There's a lot one can learn from the Malaysian experience. While that is said, it is also a country which fervently, adamantly fights against Islamophobic behavior. And it is very important to be outspoken in that, and we see Malaysia doing that. Turkey is no different than that as well, and therefore Turkey and Malaysia now are joining hands to counter that Islamophobic behavior through the 21st century most mediating tool of channel creation.
And with that, we conclude this afternoon's news on 2. In our top story, police seek MMC's opinion on Adib's post-mortem reports. Do join us again at 7 this evening. I'm Amin Carlos, and thank you so much for watching.